Chicago Bears head coach Matt Nagy has once again reiterated to the media that there is no quarterback competition between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. So let's talk about this. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. A lot to get to here. Season's right around the corner. Preseason started. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. Make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms, guys, and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Let's get into it. All right, so a little update on the situation here. And the reason I'm making this video is because I want to share this update and share a quote that I saw from Matt Nagy. And I think it was pretty interesting. So again, we've been talking about this all off season. The preseason's here. The season's right around the corner about the whole quarterback situation between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. And we all know Matt Nagy's been saying Andy Dalton's going to be the starter week one. He's the guy. He's the starter, right? And so why am I, again, repeating this news when we already know this, right? It's not new news, but it's important because of this reason, okay? Justin Fields, obviously, we saw him against the Dolphins in the first game of the preseason, and he, again, had a rough start, but then he really got things going, and he was quite impressive. So, of course, the media is going to do this all season long, is they're going to ask, hey, Matt, when is it going to be Justin Fields' turn, right? When are you going to start Justin Fields, if at all, this season? And he explained his reasoning again to Peter King of NBC Sports. But this time, I really want you guys to focus on this because I think this quote is really, really interesting, okay? So this is what Matt Nagy said, and I quote, "If we play Justin early to satisfy our needs and not do what's best for Justin and the Chicago Bears, we're going to ruin Justin and hurt the Bears, okay? We need to do is what's best for the Chicago Bears, not only right now, but we want this to be something that lasts 15 years, not 2 years. See what I'm saying?" All right, he continues on. And he says, what happens is people get stuck in the moment and they do it to satisfy themselves. I'm going to do what's best for Justin Fields, not for Matt Nagy. People can say the save your job deal. Let me tell you how much I care about that, okay? I don't. When you start doing things to do things for yourself, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. I'm not going to let that happen. We're going to develop Justin right, and we're sticking to it. End quote. And by the way, fantastic article by my buddy Eric Lambert over at Sports Mockery, where I'm reading the quote, so go ahead and check out his work. But point being here, folks, is that Nagy, again, talking about this development plan for Justin Fields. And I really like the way he laid this out. Now, I've been fairly, confident in kind of where my position has been, which is if Justin's ready to start him. Don't start Andy Dalton just for the sake of starting Andy Dalton, right? And so that's been my position all season long, and I'm not changing that. But what I will say is, based off this quote, I do agree with Nagy in that, again, a development plan needs to be put in place, and you don't just play Justin just to play Justin. Totally get all that. But again, I think there's arguments on both sides of this, right? When you sit a quarterback, that means you have a clear guy better than him. In Patrick Mahomes' case, even if he wasn't better than Alex Smith had at least been in this situation for a while. He was the Chiefs starter for a while, okay? In Aaron Rodgers' situation, Brett Favre was a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was better than him at that time. So usually when you sit guys, you have somebody better ahead of him, right? Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers. So to me, this situation doesn't apply. Andy Dalton is not definitely better than Justin Fields. We can't say that definitively, okay? So that's the first thing. And then the other thing, too, is when we take a look at the logistics here, folks, the Bears with Andy Dalton all season long, they could make the playoffs. Like, that's not crazy to think about. But they're not going to win the Super Bowl. We all know that, right? They're not going to with Andy Dalton. It's just not going to happen, all right? Unless every other team's quarterback gets injured in the NFL. And maybe even then, it's probably not likely. So why not get Justin Fields the reps that he needs, let him make his mistakes, and figure it out, right? Because what's more important for the Bears this season right? I'd rather the Bears get Justin Fields development, reps, and experience than, make the playoffs with Andy Dalton and get out in the first round, right? To me, that's more important. And you might be able to say, Fies, it's more important for Justin to sit and learn on the bench, right? You might say that, but I don't think anything can replicate live game experience. All right? The other argument people love to make is you can't throw Justin out there if the offensive line is bad. You don't want him to get hurt. Totally understand that one. I'm with that, right? Offensive line should be good. They should be able to protect Justin. Don't put him in harm's way. Totally get that. But again, it goes back to the point of ready or not. Is Justin Fields ready or not? If Justin Fields is ready, you put him out there. If Justin Fields is not ready, you don't. And to me, as much as I respect Matt Nagy for putting Justin Fields and his development ahead of his own self and, putting the Bears ahead, I still feel like there's a little bit of stubbornness here where he's basically saying, yeah, we're just not going to do it. We're going to start Andy, and Justin literally has to play the most perfect football in the world for me to ever start him. Like, that's what this feels like. So to me, again, there's arguments that can be made on both sides. I don't think, him sitting is the worst thing in the world, but I do think the stubbornness that Nagy has here, I don't like that. And I have my own theory, which I've told you guys plenty of times, which is sitting Justin Fields buys Matt Nagy as much time as possible because he can always say, no matter what his record is, you haven't seen that guy play in the regular season yet. So you can't fire me until you see Justin play. So to me, that's really where I am with this. I'm sticking by that point, by the theory that I think, Matt Nagy, the reason he wants to start Andy Dalton is more so because of job security, because Justin Fields gives him that, and even for Ryan Pace. But again, do I think he does want to develop Justin Fields in the right way? Yeah, absolutely. But I can still say in that same, vein that I think he's being stubborn. So to me, folks, this is what he said. Wanted to share with you guys. Don't expect to see Justin Fields starting anytime soon, even though he played pretty good in preseason. It looks like it's just part of the development plan for Matt Nagy. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.